Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Build. This episode I wanted to come back to the kingdom and get back to work building the confrontational zone between our Kingdom of Light and the Dark Evil Fortress. Now there's the road between the two that we kind of started last time, but what we haven't thought about is this massive sea that connects the evil fortress over here to the lands of the Kingdom of Light. And you can see the lava there pulsing vividly with these beautiful shaders. And it's really cool to come back to the evil fortress and see what it looks like with our new shader pack and texture pack. Now you'll remember that we used a lot of dark stone brick in our last texture pack to build the evil fortress. But in this new texture pack, all the stone brick is the same, and the texture that was dark has now been replaced with just cracked stone brick, like conventional Minecraft, so it looks quite different. What we're doing is we're going to be focusing on this area you see me panning across here, and we're going to build a sea navy port. This is going to be the forward command post for the naval forces of the Kingdom of Light, and we're going to move our ship over from the port in the city and bring it over to this port we have on the side here. Now I used a bit of TNT there on the land just at the mouth of the river to clear out some of the terrain quite quickly, because in this version of the client, I don't have world edit, which means I have to do everything by hand. I do, however, have a magic wand, which lets me build patterns quite quick, and you'll be able to see me do that later on. But to start with, I just wanted to put down some simple foundations out of mossy cobblestone, because the foundations lie in the water, and the mossy cobblestone has that nice effect of having it look like stone that lives quite close to the water. Now we've got two big towers at the mouth of the river, and they're going to guard the entrance to the kingdom and the river. And we have this long wall that comes out towards the mountain behind our main first castle. Now you see me here building out of wood these 4 docks that actually become 2 docks when I realised that there isn't enough space between the docks themselves, because we want to be able to fit some quite big sea navy battleships in between these dock sections. So what I did was I built those out of wood, and I spent a long time on the sides of these walls decorating things, again because we're not using world edit and we can't copy and paste. It did take us a long time going back to these little bits and adding in cobblestone and stone brick and fences and all these kinds of things underneath the water. But I think in the long run it's definitely worth it, because any kind of detail that you can chisel into your build will help in the long run, and once it all comes together at the end, you'll really see the big difference that it makes. So again, I'm using the magic wand tool, the builder's wand, that comes with extra utilities, I think, to fill in the stone brick underneath the docks here. Now most of these walls are just going to border the sea and they're not going to be buildings, they're just going to be walls that kind of, just protect against enemy ships and combatants. But once I had the simple foundation and framework of the docks area in place, I came over to this side, and this is going to be the more military side of the seaport. I wanted to build a kind of castle/fort over on this side that I can put some cannons on to help defend against all of the evil fortress ships that are going to no doubt attack our city and our kingdom from the water. So again, I was filling in the river here, fixing the mouth of the river, where I broke it slightly. And using the builder's wand very liberally to build up the walls of this naval seaport. Now what I did with the fortress side of the naval seaport over here is I had about 7 or 8 blocks up above the water. I had it move out and get wider by about 1 block just to make the wall look a bit more different. In fact, it actually extends out by 2 blocks, and that's a great way of adding a lot more character to your buildings. Because when you look at kind of some fortresses and things, very few of them are actually that straight. And in Minecraft, a great way of giving depth and more detail to your build is to have things pop out slightly. So again, I built these support struts to again add detail and depth. And I changed the middle of these sections into chiseled stone brick for again more decoration. And I'm also throwing in some fence posts and some cobblestone. Now I built the cannons up on top here out of birch wooden steps and iron blocks. I'm not entirely sure that they look too great. Unfortunately, there are no sideways cylinders in Minecraft, so getting some good looking cannons was quite a hard task. But behind the cannons, I wanted a nice square tower with a big light inside it to be a kind of like pseudo lighthouse, because we're not going to guide in merchant ships over here, but it is useful for us to be able to see what we're doing over at the naval seaport. So again, using the nether brick steps as a kind of peaked roof, and stone brick steps to create this cool tower at the corner of the naval castle seafort bit. I'm using glowstone blocks in the middle as our light source, and I bordered it with some fence posts just to give it a bit more detail. And now, with most of the castle section pretty much bare bones done, it was time to come over to these big identical towers. Now these are going to be big drum towers that are the entrance and gateway to the river section that leads all the way down to the kingdom. So this is the bit that we really want to help defend. So it was very important for me to build some big, tall-reaching towers to signify the power and dominance of the Kingdom of Light. Now the first thing I wanted to do was to complete one of the towers. If I can complete this tower that you see here, I can simply just copy it in MC Edit and place the identical copy on the other tower, because I want to basically have these towers be identical. What I also want to do is reach over with some fence posts and have a big flag between the two towers, much like you might remember from our first ever castle build. Now again, once I'd reached up with the tower, I built a smaller tower that reached even higher. I've given it a nether brick step roof, as you can see here, and I've chiseled in these big windows and used stone brick steps as decoration. I tried out some cobblestone steps, but they didn't quite look right. And now, because everything was looking just a bit too stone bricky, I added some wooden logs and some wooden fence posts as well, just to give this top tower, the second tier of this tower, a bit more detail. And now, because this is a naval base, and well, the sea, the water, it's all very blue, I've decided to use blue stained glass as the windows for this second tier of the tower. And I've reached out with a few odd and misshapen fence posts to add some lampposts to the second tier of the tower. And now, as we glide along the ocean, along the path the enemy will take to see the fortress, you can see, after this I've added some red and green flags, much like the ones at our forward command post. I've also added a lot more detail. I've added some fence posts to the towers. I've added the window section you see there to the lower part of these main towers. And I've also added some crates and barrels behind the cannons so that these guys are very stocked and very tooled up, always prepared with plenty of gunpowder to attack the enemy should they need to defend these castle walls and the Kingdom of Light. And that's part 1 of our naval sea fort. Next episode, we'll finish up the other tower, we'll build some more cannons possibly on the second sea wall. We're also going to move our ships over and add a lot more defense, some crates, some warehouses, some cranes possibly to help load all the ammunition and cannons onto the boats when they need to be loaded with all these guns. Initially, I wanted this to be a 1-part build, but it's actually taken so long that it's actually going to be a 2-part build. So hit like and favorite and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for some more building. But until then, take care.